Thank you, everybody. We're about to get started. So we've got the camera rolling over there, so you're going to kind of see me going back and forth real quick. But I just wanted to take a moment of personal privilege. My name is Mayoral. I'm your acting town manager. Spent last night writing a whole welcome to Surfside type of welcome message. I'm not going to read it. Just feeling the energy and everything that's here. You all have been very, very involved within our community. And so I want to thank you for being here in person. I want to thank everybody who is watching us for being part of this evening. We have the League of Women Voters of Miami-Dade County here with us. I want to thank President Marisol Zentino, who's not with us tonight, but we do have our voter service chair, Morgan Anderson. Morgan, if you can just real quick say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. We have Dr. Terry Murphy here moderating again. Dr. Murphy is a longtime public affairs and advocacy professional and a respected professor in political science for the University of Miami. Go Kings. Although I am a Panther, so sorry. They get precedent. But tonight is really important. When neighbors get together to discuss community issues, that is what makes our town more resilient. That is what makes our town stronger. It is okay to have difference of opinion. And it is a good opportunity to talk what those differences are so that we can have a brighter future together. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating. Thank you for watching. To our candidates, I am going to read this one. Thank you for participating tonight, for stepping forward to serve our community, offering your time, energy, and commitment to Surfside, not only this evening, but in years to come. It is a true sacrifice to be here on a regular basis, sacrificing your family time, even sometimes you're even professional. So the fact that you're willing to step up, to be heard, to represent this amazing community, thank you. I wish you the very best of luck, not only tonight, but on March 17th. Once again, thank you, everybody. With that, Maureen, would you like to say a few words before you kick off?
I would. Always. Thank you. All right. They told me to face this way, but good evening, everyone. My name is Morgan Anderson, and
Morgan, can you speak into the mic?
Oh my gosh, yes. See, I was not following directions. Good evening, everyone. My name is Morgan Anderson, and I am the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters of Miami-Dade County. Thank you all so much for coming to this candidates forum for the mayor of Surfside. We will be doing a second candidates forum on Thursday for the commissioner candidates. I am very happy to be here, very proud to serve in this role, and as your acting town manager said, it gives me a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement to see people running and passionate for local elected office, and it gives me a lot of hope to see people turning out for a candidates forum for local elected office. This is really the bread and butter of our democracy, is these local municipal elections. So I'm happy and thankful to see everyone here. Just from a voter education perspective, I wanted to go over, as you all hopefully know, the date of the election is Tuesday, March 17th. The deadline to register to vote was February 17th, so hopefully you all made it in. The deadline to request a vote by mail ballot is March 5th, which is this Thursday. So if you would like to vote by mail, you still can do that. You still can request a vote by mail ballot up until Thursday. And there's going to be no early voting for this election, but Sandra, please correct me if I'm wrong. The polls are going to be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you are unsure of your polling place, you can go to, no?
We only have one.
Here. One polling place. Well, then you know right where it is. All right, so I just want to review the candidate forum guidelines. So for the league, Candidate forums are educational, not political. So the league, even though we are a political organization, we do not support any particular candidate or political party. We do not take sides. We are about voter advocacy, voter engagement, and voter empowerment. And so with these rules, all of the candidates have been informed of these and agreed to them, and the moderator is aware of them. So these are kind of the rules and the format that we're going to be following. So each candidate will be introduced. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement and 3 minutes for a closing statement. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer a question, if that question is directed to them or all candidates, and 30 seconds for a rebuttal if they are mentioned by name by another candidate. We do have timekeepers from the League of Women Voters. These are part of our membership team. So they have some time cards and some timers, so they will, please keep an eye on them, candidates. They will be reminding you if your time is coming to an end. But please also, moderate yourselves in that way as well. And then, as I said, each candidate will have 3 minutes for a closing statement. So again, we welcome you here, and we hope to have an informative and educational debate. And with that, I'll turn it over to our moderator, Dr. Terry Murphy.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be working with the League of Women Voters. It's an honor to be back here again with all of you here in Surfside. Well, we begin this whole session with, you have an opening statement. Each one of you has 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and we're going to start alphabetically. When I ask questions, I'm going to rotate who goes first, also alphabetically, as I'll kick off. And then at the end of the night, when we have a closing statement, it's reverse order on the alphabetic. So we'll start with, and if it's okay, I'll refer to Mr. Bloomstein. Is it Stein or Steen? Steen. Mr. Bloomstein, Mr. Donziger, and Ms. Paul. Is that okay? We're okay on the titles? Okay. All right, well, Mr. Bloomstein, please, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Good evening, fellow neighbors and friends, and happy Purim to my Jewish community. First and foremost, I want to recognize the ongoing military operations in Iran and the Middle East. We must continue to pray for our troops and those of our allies, most significantly of the State of Israel, who are bringing about safety and security for the world. Now turning to Surfside, this election brings choice for Surfsiders. We can go backwards with Mr. Danziger, have more of the same with Ms. Paul, or elect me as your mayor for professionalism and progress from someone who has integrity to lead the town forward and deliver stability, security, and serenity for us all. My name is Mark Bloomstein. I have lived in Surfside with my family for over 25 years. I have served on the town commission. More recently, I served as a town attorney and then town manager. I am an attorney. I was a state of Florida Circuit Court judge. I served in and retired from the U.S. Navy as an attorney in the Judge Advocate General's Court. I have a BSBA from the University of Florida with a major in finance. I am a public servant. Many of you know my wife, Dahlia, the town rollerblader, and my children who were raised here and continue to call Surfside home. I believe that I am the most experienced and qualified candidate running for town mayor. If you seek action, competence, safety, and security, respect for religious practices, and someone to safeguard the financial reserves of our town, I am your choice. Over these last 2 years, while I was part of the administration, we delivered the 96th Street Park together with a kayak and paddleboard kiosk and new trellises at the community center. We improved the safety and appearance of the downtown sidewalks on Harding Avenue. We secured additional land for town use. We added millions in development fees to benefit the town. We made town programs free to seniors. We secured new crosswalks at 89th and 90th Street on A1A and made all town crosswalks on A1A Sabbath friendly. We enforced parking in the residential district. We were transparent with the community by introducing a video series known as Mondays with the Manager and the weekly letters to commission published on the town manager's page for the benefit of the entire community. As your elected mayor, I will continue to build on my work for the town with fiscal responsibility, fairness, and fidelity to the rule of law. My priorities include alleviating our traffic woes, improving our stormwater system to minimize the risk of flooding in town, the rerouting of our sewage systems to save residents from a 600% increase on their utility bills, continued building of effective traffic calming measures at a lower cost, continued town beautification with improved street lighting, enhanced public safety, and the construction of an indoor rec center and gym across the street from our community center.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Also, before we start with Mr. Danziger, name checking, your candidates is going to add 30 seconds to their opening statements. So Mr. Danziger and Ms. Paul, you have an extra 30 seconds for your opening statements. Go ahead, Mr. Danziger.
Perfect. Good evening, friends, neighbors, and a happy Purim to all. Thank you to the town of Surfside for hosting this forum and to the League of Women Voters for moderating this important political discussion. I'm especially grateful to my wife Rachel, our children Herschel, Hannah, Yisrael, Shner, and Chashi. I see why I had to write them down. And to our friends and family for their unwavering support. And also thank you to all the residents who are here tonight or have tuned in to listen and engage. While we may not all agree on policy, it's our shared passion that drives this town to continue evolving into what is arguably the best place to live. For those of you who may be new to Surfside and may not be aware, I had the honor of serving as mayor from 2022 to 2024. My journey to Surfside began 16 years ago when my wife and I chose this town as the place to raise our family. But we didn't just move here, we built our lives here. This is where our children have grown up, gone to school, had their sleepovers, and we've been fortunate to form lasting friendships. From the moment we arrived, I believe that being part of a community means serving it. I ran youth programs at the local synagogue. I served on the security board for 12 years. For the last 4 years, I volunteered with Hatzalah, which is our local volunteer emergency medical response organization. That same commitment led me to serve our town. I served on the Parks and Recreation for many years and the special boards and committees. Eventually, I ran for the seat on a commission because I believed I could contribute more and represent the families here in Surfside. Ultimately, I ran for the mayor because I believed Surfside needed focused and result-driven leadership. During my term, together, we accomplished a great deal. We opened 3 new parks and introduced first-class beach share service. We added lighting along the beach path to improve safety and installed outdoor exercise equipment to promote health and wellness. We launched 47 new community programs and enhanced town events that brought families and neighbors together. We initiated a comprehensive stormwater master plan to combat flooding and advance practical resiliency solutions. And finally, we strengthened public safety through thoughtful legislation and upgraded technologies. These were not just line items on a budget, they were tangible improvements to daily life here in Surfside. They represent what is possible when leadership is focused, collaborative, and driven by results. They reflect governing philosophies that put residents first, values fiscal responsibilities, and understands that even small towns deserve big vision and disciplined execution. I do not view public service as a title. I view it as a responsibility to listen carefully, to act thoroughly, and to protect character and future of our community. Tonight is about so much more than revisiting the past. It's about deciding what direction Surfside will take next. This is about ensuring that our town is managed with professionalism, transparency, and long-term planning. It's about restoring stability where there has been uncertainty and clarity where there has been confusion. I am proud of what we accomplished together, and I'm even more determined about what we can achieve in the years ahead. Surfside is worth fighting for, it's worth protecting, and it's worth leading with strength, integrity, and purpose. I look forward to the discussion tonight, and I respectfully ask for your continued trust and support.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Danziger. Ms. Paul, 3 minutes opening statement.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight and for everyone watching at home. I want to begin by thanking neighbors who have supported me over the past 10 years through multiple elections. Surfside is a town where everyone makes a lasting impression. Some neighbors have moved on, some we've sadly lost, and every one of them helped shape this community and shape my leadership. I carry that responsibility with gratitude and with heart. I currently serve as your vice mayor, and I'm running for mayor to protect what makes Surfside special and to carry our legacy forward with care, integrity, and steady leadership. Surfside has always been home. I was raised here since birth, and I've watched the town grow, change, and face moments that tested us. Many of you know me personally. We've been on this journey together. Tonight, I want to speak directly to those who may not know me yet, and to anyone who feels uncertain or worried about Surfside's future. I want you to hear this clearly. I'm not a career politician. I'm an experienced public servant. I understand how local government actually works, how trust is built, and why continuity matters. Leadership is about showing up, listening, and doing the work with collaboration. That's exactly what I've done. There's been a lot said recently that simply isn't true. It's important to set the record straight. Surfside is not in chaos. Our commission and mayor serve 2-year terms, and real progress depends upon consistency. Projects overlap and should not stop and start based on political theater. They succeed when leadership stays focused and responsible. 2 years ago, our town was divided. While 8 major development projects were approved during that term, important projects were stalled, and we lost dedicated employees who had served Surfside with honor. When I was elected back into office, we worked to restore stability and bring the community together. We scaled back one of the prior approved developments and completed 96th Street Park after a decade of planning and construction issues. We began the long-awaited Abbott Drainage Project and finalized the design of the Surfside Memorial to remember our neighbors we lost and to honor the survivors and the first responders who were here with us during the most difficult time. Through every challenge, we chose professionalism. We chose calm leadership. And with the new town manager, Surfside's administration is back on track and focused on delivering the quality of life residents deserve. I offer honest, steady leadership. With strength and compassion, I don't make empty promises. I don't seek power or personal gain. I simply ask you to listen closely tonight. Look at who has been consistent, who understands the town, and who has earned your trust. This election is about protecting Surfside and leading it forward the right way. Ask yourself why some want this position so badly, and the most important question of all, what's in it for Surfside? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. We're going to begin our questions now from the residents.
Just a point of order, Dr. Murphy. Cell phones are prohibited, yes, on the dais.
I believe so. Is that in the...
That's the rule.
The rules were provided to each candidate.
Yes.
Correct.
I can't see cell phones where I'm standing. So
I can, so I just want to make sure everyone's following the rules.
I'm going to defer to the clerk.
They're not.
The rules were provided to each of the candidates from the League of Women Voters.
And the rules say no cell phones on the dais.
That's correct.
That's
okay,
correct.
well, you all abide by that, please. Okay.
Mr. Danziger, can you please put your cell phone on?
I mean, if that's in the rules, please comply. I mean, we don't need to hold this up on a rule check. You have a cell phone on a dais?
He does.
Can we set it down?
I put mine away.
Phones, iPads, and others electronic communication equipment must be turned off and not used by candidates. Exceptions are devices needed to participate in virtual forums.
That's the
So
rule.
there's nothing on here that it can't be on the desk, Mr. Bloomstein.
Is it turned off? It's not turned off.
Can we please move on with the program this evening?
Is it on? I mean, we shouldn't.
He was just using it, that's why I'm bringing it right up.
Mr. Danziger, is it off the telephone?
Good catch.
I think we have a more important thing to talk about it tonight than a cell phone, please.
Well, there's
We
another-
are about rules. We are about rules. This is a nation of laws, I believe.
Are we in compliance now?
I would ask Mr. Bloomstein, but yes.
Just let her know.
I'm asking you, are we in compliance or?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to begin with our questions now from the residents. And I'm going to read it as written. Surfside is a small town with middle-class values where families coexist in tranquility and security. Sometimes the town is hurled into the global spotlight with dramatic headlines such as the condo collapse, elite billionaire neighbors, and visiting foreign leaders. When elected mayor of this quiet seaside town, how would you balance the macro issues with the micro concerns of the ordinary residents you represent in public service? So, Mr. Bloomstein, if you will respond first.
That's a great question. Surfside is a community that I have seen evolve over the 25 plus years that I've lived here. It used to be where there wasn't a lot of interest in Surfside, and now we see that everyone wants to be in Surfside. And it's a blessing for the community. And the way I tried to deal with it in my capacity as manager was to recognize that confluence of interest in the town and to make sure that everyone was treated fairly and with respect, because it's a very demanding community. Everyone that lives here has every right to demand the best from their town administration. It's something that I try to instill in all of the employees working here as a resident. So it takes a lot to balance those competing interests. You know, we have a lot of construction going on, both on the A1A corridor as well as in the district of residences. And we have to consider what they need to accomplish while at the same time recognizing that people need tranquility in their daily lives. So I intend to make that a priority of my mayorship if I get that opportunity. And I will, of course, balance those competing interests daily. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Danziger, the same question.
Some micro and macro issues. That is the challenge that we have, specifically because we have 2-year terms here in Surfside. It's very difficult for elected officials to come in and set long-term goals. Long-term, we have to worry about some financial issues. The state is now talking about removing a lot of the taxes here, which equate to revenue to our town. Which is something that has to be addressed. There's also necessary infrastructure projects that have been left alone for over a decade. At the same time, there's the micro issues. Traffic, which is happening now because of the overdevelopment, pushing traffic into the residential areas. These are solutions that we can address on the short term. When I was in office, we had 3-month projects, we had 6-month projects, 2-year projects we'd like to accomplish within our term, and at the same time, we were planning for the future. And that's something I will continue to do, because whether I get to stay in office or not, we need to set our town in a certain direction. And so I would continue to have that approach to our issues here in Surfside. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Paul.
Thank you. I just want to answer the question properly. I believe you were talking about Surfside being in the news globally and how to achieve the correct balance with public service. The issue is to be in the news for the right reasons and to get ahead of the story. Some things are out of our control, and when we were in the news over the building collapse, the media really came together for us. They really supported us. They really wanted to help us find the answers. And that was really an incredible experience. I really have a lot of respect for that. We've also been in the news for the wrong reasons, because of poor leadership, because of poor treatment to our residents. And that's not the right way to be in the news. I can guarantee you that will not happen under my watch, and it hasn't for the most part. And the idea is to bring calmness to the community and maintain the tranquility. And when you have the news about the global spotlights, that's really something we haven't addressed here so far. It's more reportage of who's purchasing properties, and I don't know that that's really something we would address. You really just have to welcome all residents here. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. All right, well, this next question, we're going to start with Mr. Danziger, and you alluded to it. And this question came in, says, here's a question to ask the candidates. Assuming the elimination of certain property tax legislation passes, this person estimates up to about $4 to $5 million in tax revenue may be eliminated from our budget. Currently, the Surfside budget for 2026 says 19 million will come from property tax revenue. So if the budget has to be reduced to 14 million, what would you do?
Great question, I'm glad that came up. So depends on what law ends up being passed, will obviously have a different impact here in Surfside. The discussion is whether it's only homesteaded homes or in general. Obviously what comes to be is going to have a major impact here. It's important to note that about 86% of our revenue, our tax revenue, is coming from about 3 buildings, which means that these are non-homesteaded properties. So there will be an impact, but not that severe. One of my first priorities when I come in is to address the budget, because our operating budget is over $60 million, which is almost double than what it was when I was in office. And we need to cut back and understand how we grew to that extent, because I haven't seen those services that equate to such numbers. But we do have to start looking at what we're doing. One of the priorities that I would be bringing back when I come in is to bring back the civilian oversight in the budget committee, because that made up of professionals, not just residents, but people that have executive experience, CPAs, and really dive through and see where we can go ahead and trim and really see what happened over the last 2 years.
Very good, Ms. Paul, on this issue of loss of tax revenue.
Yes, thank you. This is a very important question. It's something that we've been discussing already in terms of, I had gone to the Florida League of Mayors meeting back in Davie several months ago, and the discussion was about the property taxes and how to get behind the same messaging. And just last week I was on a Zoom call with Mayor Danielle Levine-Caba, who by the way is endorsing my candidacy. And it was with all the municipalities in the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, and it's talking about having one voice. As a mayor of Surfside, I would totally support that we get the education out to the residents so they understand what is actually at stake if the property taxes are eliminated. It is approximately about 4 million at least out of our budget. And so our administration is looking at that, and they're looking at how we prepare for that. But at the same time, it's important for residents to understand that it's possible that they could lose services over that, and we don't even know the full impact because it's every municipality and it's the county, and we depend on a lot of county services. So I definitely want to get behind the right messaging, because I would stand to benefit from this. I'm homesteaded property. However, for what I pay and the amount of services that not just I receive, but everyone receives, I would not want to risk that. So the message is really important for residents to understand what's at stake. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Blumstein on this issue.
I'm happy to say that Surfside has very strong reserves. We have a very healthy budget, despite what you may have heard. The only reason the budget has shifted for Surfside is because we actually funded infrastructure projects, significant infrastructure projects for the town, and that costs money. At the same time, we were able to reduce property taxes for everybody, and if it was me, it would have been reduced even further, but obviously I didn't have that role as manager. So I feel very good about Surfside, notwithstanding any prospective changes in the property tax bill that this question speaks to. And I know that this town has been better united historically than I think more recently. That is my sense and pulse of the community, because I've been walking the streets, I have been talking to the neighbors. I know many of these neighbors, and of course we have a lot of new neighbors that have come here. The community needs to bridge the different aspects of what we call Surfside. We have a very strong, a very growing, and a very passionate religious community within the town. At the same time, we have others that are not part of necessarily that religious community that want to have the same benefits of this town and at times feel that they can't have that same quality of life that they're used to. And it's simple things that you see, how we walk the streets because we don't have sidewalks, so we're on the streets, and sometimes people are driving and they have to basically weave around where people walk. Other times it's how people park on the streets, and if they're parking in a way that makes it hard to basically drive on two sides of the roadway. I'm here to make sure that those communities understand each other, respect each other, and live in harmony in this beautiful place we call home.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Danziger?
So unity starts by having a conversation and listening to people. That's something that I've been doing over the last couple of years, making sure that I'm listening and hearing what it is that people have concerns over. I think everybody has to come on board with that. It's important that everyone feels heard and represented, and that's something that we have to focus on because we do have differences and we do celebrate our differences. That's what makes a community unique, and South Florida unique in general. When I was mayor, we did invest heavily in a lot of our community programs. We took a lot of the tourist money and reinvested. As I mentioned in my opening, we had 47 new programs that we initiated during my term. The purpose of that was to bring everybody out and bring people together. And I know that this community, regardless of your affiliated parties, can attest that these events were bringing everyone out to these events. I have not seen that over the last couple of years. I think it's time to reinvest in community and family and everybody else, and all the other programs that seem to have been skipped over, whether it's the senior community, and really invest back in that and bring people together. Thank you.
Very good. Now, this next question touches on development, and I wanted you to also speak a little bit to the fact of preemptions that the legislature considers relating to development. So if you can kind of speak.
For the question. This is a hot topic in Surfside, to say the least. So let me be clear. You know, everyone knows I was a judge, I am an attorney, and I promise to have fidelity to the law. Where the state has acted, Surfside must comply. And where the state has preempted, Surfside must obey. I was not happy with the initiation of a lawsuit by the town of Surfside against homeowners. That happened after I departed from my position. And when I saw that happening, I literally reached out to these defendants, these residents, and told them that it was wrong and I was going to fix it. I truly hope that the town fixes that litigation and resolves it ahead of the election, but if not, I will resolve it. These homeowners have the right and benefit of the law, and the state has set forth what that law is with respect to, I think we're talking about SB 180 here. So rest assured that if I'm elected mayor, they will be able to build their home.
Hey, Mr. Danziger.
Sorry, forgive me. I find this ironic since you were the town attorney and the town manager who wrote the ordinances which violated Florida Statute 163.3167, which specifically states that no town shall lock their zoning or comprehensive plan in a charter. This was the man who wrote these laws. He wrote the laws and the zoning laws that violate Senate Bill 180, which resulted in 12 ongoing litigation lawsuits with this town. That being said, there is no properties. There's never been legislation that allowed for 60% of lot coverage. The law was always 40% with 80% on top of that, with a variance of 50% on a one floor or an extension. The objective of that was to try to reduce the amount of two-story houses and encourage some less development that wasn't as overbearing, but at the same time allowing for families to grow and live here in this town. So we are, as a town, going to face challenges because of this current administration and what they've implemented. Ironically enough, we have an item on the referendum again coming up in March, and make no mistake, all of these items, which Mr. Bloomstein wrote himself, are in violation of state law, and they will have ramifications for residents in form of extra taxes, special assessments, if we have to pay all these out to the residents that have sued this town. So Again, I mentioned him by name, so he has 30 seconds to answer that, because I would love to hear his answer.
Yes, Mr. Bloomstein, you do have 30 seconds for being name checked.
Sure. Well, Mr. Danziger needs to understand the timing of the laws and when they were enacted, so he can understand how what I wrote is not in violation of any law, but I guess he needs to check more into the details. And we should also note that Mr. Danziger did enact legislation, and I'm surprised he's here because he was going to withdraw from the race if I called him out on it, which I did, but he hasn't withdrawn. So clearly Mr. Danziger's word is what it is, but he enacted legislation that increased the square footage of homes in Surfside.
Mr. Danziger, you have 30 seconds for the name check.
Thank you. Again, these ordinances were written during the current commission. I did make that that challenge because I did, I hear this a lot where people say I increased the zoning, and I put out the challenge. I issued a challenge saying if somebody can show me the ordinance where I increased what was allowed in this town for the last decade, I would drop out, and Mr. Bloomstein failed to show that.
Oh, I did. I failed to show it. I believe I did. I think I put my, when I got a rebuttal to his.
Once I let you have it, this time's expired, I'll run it through me. That's fine.
Yeah,
Mr. Bloomstein, you get 30 seconds.
I believe I called him out directly on Nextdoor and in emails, and I gave him the specific ordinance number, and I laid out specifically how he did increase the size of homes by 25%. So I figured he would be a man of his word and withdraw from the race, but he's here tonight, so I don't know if the clerk got his withdrawal paper.
We're going to move on to Ms. Paul. You guys can't occupy the whole.
I would just like to add one thing, if you don't mind.
You give a moment.
This is a Surfside ordinance 90-36.1, which has existed well beyond the current administration. This was during the time of Burkett and Mr. Deitch, Mayor Deitch. This law allowed for 50% on one-story homes. So this, as I stated, predated me by a decade.
Okay. Ms. Paul,
Thank you, Dr. Murphy.
would you like me to repeat your question?
Seems to have gone off track. So development and preemptions is a really serious issue that we have. Everyone knows about the Live Local Act. It doesn't belong in coastal communities like Surfside. Last year I went to Tallahassee with our youth council, and I did speak at one of the hearings where it actually passed, I don't remember the name of the bill, but it was dubbed Live Local 2.0. And essentially it was expanding on what Live Local can do, bringing it into the residential neighborhoods. So this was really important to speak against. As far as the lawsuits related to SB 180, I believe our former town manager and former attorney is well aware of why we did those lawsuits. We had a shade session where we saw we're trying to come to terms and agreement with these properties that are in question. But realistically, because of 32 zoning changes done by ordinance in the past 2 years in the prior administration, these homes can get much larger than they would have been under our zoning regulations. Zoning regulations were relaxed during a prior term, and so the size of these homes are really too much for interior lots. And if there's a way to compromise with the homeowners, which is what we're trying to do, we hope they can build their homes, but it has to be within reason. Thank you.
Very good. This next,
She identified me. Do I get a rebuttal?
I didn't hear an identification by name.
Town manager, town attorney, there's only one.
I think there's been a lot of town managers, town attorney, I don't know them all.
All right.
All right, now this next question though is kind of a follow-up that I'd like to ask in terms of the, we're living in a time where Tallahassee has so much control over local government. I mean, there's all these initiatives. I'm wondering if you could speak to your own initiatives to improve communications with Tallahassee, to improve communications with our Dade delegation, the governor's office, and whoever you think is the most best suited to protect the local interest, and give some indication of what your plans are if you're elected mayor to improve relations with these officials that are making decisions at the local level from Tallahassee. And this round would begin with Mr. Danziger.
So relationships matter, and I think we're seeing that more important than ever. Unfortunately, the state has come in and superseded a lot of our laws and a lot of the authorities that municipalities have had, specifically when it comes to zoning. This is, again, where relationships matter, and I'm going to refer back to being the only mayor that brought in millions of dollars in appropriation in this town's history so far. That happens because of relationships. I was able to create a carve-out in the Unsafe Structures Act for the town of Surfside, and I started to work on a carve-out for the Live Local for our barrier island. That is something that we need to continue to do because, as stated by one of the other candidates, not named, this kind of rule is not really fitting for the barrier island. You don't have the infrastructure to maintain it. This will continue to be a priority. Ironically enough, I was reprimanded for going to Tallahassee, but I think the results that I was able to bring back speak for themselves, and it will continue to be a priority because as long as Tallahassee keeps making legislation that affects towns like ours, it's important that we have representation and we have those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danziger. Ms. Paul, can you speak to this issue?
Yes, so I'm happy to report that we now have a very professional town manager who has great relationships in Tallahassee, and we had sent him there, and I feel confident that, you know, aside from just having the manager there, we need to be there. We need to be there, our residents need to be there, because the preemptions are really crazy, and they really are going to affect us in ways we can't imagine. Regarding the statements made prior about appropriations and millions of dollars being brought into Surfside, a lot of that money was allocated on the prior term after the building collapse. There was, I had been in Tallahassee then as a thank you to, I was with Days, and it was a thank you to the legislature, because at that point nobody from Surfside had been to Tallahassee. I was the first elected official to travel to Tallahassee, and I was told about appropriations that were coming through at that point. So they came through on the prior term, but they were worked on, and that's the thing, government overlaps. So you work on something now, but it may not come through till the next term. And regarding the Safe Structures Act, the prior mayor was the biggest proponent for that act. He did not get a carve out for anybody. He did not try to help the municipalities and the buildings that would be affected by that. He strictly spoke in favor of it. Thank you.
30 seconds for Mr. Danziger.
So first of all, appropriations are approved every session and allocated the following June. They don't carry over from year to year. So that's incorrect, actually. As far as the carve-out, you can read it yourself within the law for the Unsafe Structures Act, which states that any municipality on a barrier island under 2 square miles with less than 10,000 residents is exempt. That is the verbiage. It got in there because I asked it to be in there. I continue to protect our town. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Bloomstein.
Relationships do matter, and I'm happy to report that when I served this town as its manager, I nurtured those relationships. In fact, I, ahead of any elected official of this commission, went to Tallahassee myself to advocate for the town because I know how important it was. And this wasn't a luxury trip by any means. Up early, up to Tallahassee, spend the day, back home in that evening. There's a lot of things that happen up in Tallahassee, and it matters that elected officials and administrators are there, because if you're not there, someone else is going to get money and you're not. But aside from Tallahassee, you need local relationships. I have those. I have relationships with all the surrounding cities and their leadership. I have relationships with the county and its leadership. I have relationships with FPL, with all the different utility providers in town, and all of those matter, because when you have those relationships, you can make things happen. And that's what I intend to do as mayor. I'm going to use those relationships that I've built over decades here in Miami-Dade County. I have dealt with all of these different agencies in my different capacities over the years, and I intend to deliver that for the benefit of the town. Thank you.
Very good. Now this next question is rather blunt. It says, the walking path and beach were ruined. How will you fix that? Ms. Paul.
The walking path was ruined. It was very unfortunate. It was the prior town manager approved the project ahead of doing the entire dune restoration and did not manage the project properly. The wrong kind of sand was put there. Currently, we are trying to correct that, but it seems to be a complicated situation because you're dealing with the state agencies and permitting, and we've had to bid out the whole project to do the entire dune restoration. That should be coming before us at the next commission meeting, and I hope to get the full approval for that so that we can well, for one, to raise the dunes equally, but to fix the problemed area that should not have happened. But it was due to the former manager rushing the project ahead instead of waiting for the entire dune restoration to take place.
Is that a name check on you? Or were you the former manager?
Yes,
Is that do you want a 30-second response?
in addition to my response, yes, because
I mean, I apologize. I'm not familiar with,
Yeah,
the manager turnover.
that's fine, that's fine. Unfortunately, the vice mayor has been pushing this mantra out for a while now, and she's just flat wrong. I was the person that identified that the sand was incorrect that was used on that beach pad. Believe it or not, under the prior administration, before I got here, they hadn't even identified the sand to use when they led this project. This project was not the town's. In fact, when I got involved, I'm the one that told Public Works to go check the sand. And believe it or not, it was discovered that it's Surfside mix, and no one knew that until I made it happen.
Very good.
I was mentioned.
Yeah, name check back to you, Ms. Paul. Go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So people knew the correct mix of sand. The former mayor knew it. The public works director knew it. But the public works director had resigned because of the treatment that he received from the administration. It was also and you wonder why we didn't discover that the sand was the wrong mix after 2 blocks of it. Why was it not tested initially? Why was it not discovered initially? Instead, the whole project was completed before it was discovered.
Very good. Now we're back to Mr. Bloomstein for the question itself, which was the walking path and beach were ruined. How will you fix it?
I intended to fix it, but for the actions of this commission when it exercised its right on October 22. The plan is to fix it now that we have the right mix to use, which no one ever identified prior to that. The fix was to get our permit, which we have. The Surfside town has a permit to do the entire dune path. And why haven't they done it in the 4 months that I've been out of my position? The answer is because they're doing nothing until the election. That's the truth. They're just waiting for the election to hand it off to the next commission to act. And I will act because I know how to fix it. I intended to fix it during my last office as town manager. Thank you.
I'm not going to do that. That was a general slam. Mr. Danziger, can you respond to the question of the walking path and beach were ruined? How will you fix it?
Sure, so what I hear is 2 people that were in the leadership position for the last 2 years, and each one seems to be blaming each other instead of taking responsibility as to what happened. Also technicality, I think Sandra McCready was the former town manager, if we're gonna count the 1 week that she had that job, no? Anyways, the walking path is a unique sand mixture, which actually this town, if anybody here had that continuity, would know that it's referred to as Randy Mix. Randy's Mix is a specific mix that Randy Stokes, who was our public works director, created. He resigned along with pretty much every director we had here in the last 2 years. And that highlights the issue when you have this continuity issue, when you have an administration where all that institutional knowledge picks up and leaves and goes over to Bay Harbor. I think people have to understand the ramifications, and this walking path is just one of many that we're seeing.
Very good. Okay, now this next question begins with Mr. Bloomstein. And it says, what priority in your agenda does flooding and resilience have, and how will you address the huge concern for our coastal community? We are 1 hurricane away from a potential disaster. Mr. Bloomstein.
Thank you for the question. In fact, that's one of the major prongs of my platform in running for office. So the flooding, we have actually the answer to deal with it in the form of upsizing our stormwater pipes, if you will, that are underneath our streets. There are 5 focus areas. We have budgeted for those 5 focus areas over the next fiscal years. It's in the budget if you look online. And those need to be upsized. In addition, we need to make sure that our seawalls are uniformed and raised across the town. And the town has to lead by example. We have street ends that haven't been dealt with. Our own town street ends at every street end within the residential area, as well as at the 96th Street Park. They all have to be increased in size. We have the study that tells us what the size is that it should be for the foreseeable future, 30, 50 years. And we see our new builds, wherever someone has bought a property and has raised a property intending to build a new one, they have to raise their seawalls. You see that going on every day in the neighborhood. So that is going to help alleviate the problem. It will not solve it, okay? Nothing is going to solve the barrier island risk of flooding, but it will certainly ameliorate the risk. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Donziger?
So flooding and resiliency, I'm proud to say during my administration, we did more than any administration has done over a decade. We didn't just talk, but we instituted the seawall height requirement, a new requirement that wasn't existing before. That brought up all the government seawalls and also required that any new construction or any construction over a certain percentage on a private property had to maintain those new requirements. We initiated the dune restoration and improvements that you're seeing the dunes being raised. That was a project that started under my administration. We instituted the understories, which allow for more resilient homes, more permeability, more light and air. We also added resiliency into the approval process of every single home. So one of the best town planners we had, Judith, over here, that was under her purview, as well as Jim McGinnis. They had to ensure that every house had a resiliency plan in place, including stormwater runoff. None of these things existed before I was in office. Now, there's still a lot more we can do, and I've been having some very interesting conversations with some architects and residents here. There's a lot more to explore when it comes to permeability, and because there's not a lot we can do on a small island like that. We can add, we can improve our pumps, but at the end of the day, the water is less than a foot behind us. And I have some great initiatives that I hope to be able to share with the residents soon and bring forward.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Paul?
Thank you. So flooding and resiliency. In 2 prior terms, we worked to get the Abbott Avenue drainage project moving forward. It didn't pass on one prior term, it passed on another. It sat stalled on the last term. And we did get grant money for that. And that was something that our commission applied for and came through in the next term. So these things do overlap. Yes, appropriations are done once a year, but sometimes they're applied for the prior year and you get it the following year. So let's be clear about that. In terms of flooding and resiliency, our Sustainability and Resiliency Committee had been disbanded. One of the first things I did was to reinstate that committee with my commission to show our level of seriousness in tackling this problem and having residents participate and give their input. We also just recently approved a project for 96th Street Park to add these tiles to the seawall that will help with purifying the water, breaking the waves, and building sea life. So we've been very proactive with trying to take care of these things, but the reality is it's something you have to constantly be on top of. I also attend sustainability summits to learn more from other neighboring municipalities and collaborate. Thank you.
Mr. Bloomstein?
I answered this one.
No, I started with Mr. I did start with you. I'm sorry. Next question, I'm sorry. You want to take another run at it?
I want to be fair.
Okay, no. Mr. Donzer, this next question we have is, people like to mention that elected officials should focus on issues that affect quality of life. What does the term quality of life mean to you?
So quality of life, I think, is an allocation of our tax money that we have coming in. We as elected officials have many priorities. The first and foremost being the legislative and the budget. And we need to make sure that we are funded and projects that need to happen over the next couple of years are funded. But at the same time, quality of life to me means the beach chair service that we did. It means the ADA mats that we put on the beach to allow seniors and people with disabilities to reach the beaches a lot easier. It means the exercise equipment we put out there. It means all the little things that we're able to allocate money for that just makes your day-to-day life easier. It also means giving the police and the staff the tools that they need to do their jobs. So when you walk into town hall, there's a big smile and somebody to greet you. It also means the street cleaners. There's so many things that we're able to do that increase people's quality of life, and I think a lot of them go unnoticed because we take it for granted. But coming back to all the amazing things that we're able to accomplish, that help people's day-to-day lives, and that's what it means to me.
Very good. Ms. Paul, same question. What does it mean to you?
Quality of life is super important, but it is a very subjective topic. So for some people, quality of life means just simply being able to get out of their driveway when there's too much traffic on their street. For me, it means clean streets. It means keeping our town clean, because that gives you a better sense of pride of your neighborhood. I mean, I think we do all have Surfside pride, but I want to see our streets clean. I want to see the litter picked up. I think steady services, we have the best garbage pickup, I think, in the county, 5 days a week. Hats off to our Public Works Department. And it's maintenance, and then also we have a lot of community events. So I think all these things come together to make Surfside a great community. And that's the quality of life, and it's about protecting that, making sure that we always have that we pay attention to what makes us happy and what makes us want to live here.
Very good. And Mr. Booth?
Thank you. So quality of life is not taking 20 minutes to go 8 blocks. And I have heard from so many residents walking around here how agitated they are having to deal with A1A traffic. Quality of life is being able to go walk around the residential area without a parade of cars lining up to get out of the neighborhood on Byron Avenue at 96th Street. And I've seen cars backed up to 93rd Street. We need to fix that. We need to improve the quality of life for daily living. As great as our services are, we need to work with our neighboring communities to make things better. We need to also try to deal with all the construction, because there's a lot of it going on in town. And when we have this level of construction, I need to work better with the county, specifically FDOT, to limit the closure of roads and lanes on A1A. That has to come to an end. It's been too traumatic for folks living here, and I intend to fix it as one of my main priorities starting my administration. Thank you.
Very good. Now this next question is a little long and it's a little contentious, but I'm going to go through it, and we begin with Ms. Paul. It says, one of the most contentious issues in town these days is the size of houses. Restrictions in size were put in place by the current town commission. Those restrictions might conflict with state law SB 180. The town is currently testing the legality of SB 180 in litigation. There's also a ballot question that will be voted on March 17th regarding needing a supermajority of the town commission to change floor area ratios regulations. If the ballot question passes, will you commit to continuing the SB 180 litigation to its conclusion?
I'm just a little confused. If the ballot passes, then...
If it passes, if the ballot question passes, requiring the I know it's a little confusing, supermajority vote for your floor area ratio decisions?
I mean, I think one has nothing to do with the other in terms of, the ballot question is just regarding zoning changes, that you need a supermajority to make a zoning change.
Right.
So I don't know that that has to I don't know that that has to do anything with the size of the houses.
Okay, well, can you address the question that they're asking? Will you continue SB 180 litigation to its conclusion? We'll just go to that.
Well, I'd like to come to an agreement on that. Nobody likes litigation. You want to come to an agreement. You want to see people be able to build their homes, but you also want to see their neighbors have room to breathe. I saw the plans for these homes. They are way too big, and that has to do with the 32 ordinances of zoning changes that were passed in the prior administration. Because what it does is you have a certain amount of buildable space, and then you have your pools and your porches and all these other accessories, and those, to some degree, they're not counted, and they should be, because you're supposed to have 40% of green space, and a lot of these homes just don't have that. I'm all for people building the homes and what is reasonable, but we have to be realistic. If you have a small lot, there's just so much you can do because of the size of the lot and the requirements for having green space, so you have proper storm drainage and just, livable space for your kids to play and all.
Mr. Bloomstein, apologize for the question. I was just reading it as written, but
No, I understand the question. And,
Yeah.
and I can tell you that the ballot question that 3 members of the commission tendered to the voters is very complicated for any voter to understand, given the current conditions. And the current conditions include changes in the FAR enacted by this commission, as well as SB 180 and its impact on municipalities, including Surfside. And in terms of this litigation, I've already commented on how it was a bad idea to initiate that, and this commission chose to do that. I still to this day don't understand why they would do that. If they truly wanted to make a deal, you don't need to file a lawsuit to make a deal. You make a deal without a lawsuit. It's costing the town God knows how much money in litigation. We used to handle our legal issues with one town attorney, namely me, and now we're handling the litigation with multiple outside counsel firms. So the size of homes is really controlled by design review. When I was last on the commission in 2006, I helped enact design review guidelines. Those design review guidelines exist until today. The problem is that the last P&Z board didn't apply those design guidelines. They just let you build. Thank you.
Mr. Gallagher, your opportunity to respond to this question of service.
All right, so I do want to mention Mr. Bloomstein's last comment, and I'm saying it by name because, again, I would love to hear his response. He's prioritizing traffic, speaks about lane closures and FDOT, and he was the manager at the time that approved everything that is going on Collins Avenue right now, which is contributing to the traffic that we all see today. So again, by name, please respond how you're going to balance that out, and now you're here to fix something that you created. But in terms of the zoning and the FAR, I kind of touched on it earlier. I think Surfside is in violation of Florida statute currently, and we have to resolve that. And I would ask my two opponents what they do when the Attorney General sends them a letter that tells them that Surfside is out of compliance with state law, that acting outside of the color of law, they may be personally liable. And I think there's decisions that have to be made here. And I would really love to hear from my fellow candidates, because while we do want to listen to the residents, and the residents did speak at the last referendum and they pushed down this ordinance, Mr. Burkett brought it back again. And I don't think that they are actually listening to the residents. It is important to hear what the voters are prioritizing, but at the end of the day, we still have to be compliant with the law. And that is something that we're going to have to make right.
I'll leave the option for Mr. Bloomstein if you wish to respond. If not, we'll go to the next question. Next question is, starts with you. What are the top 2 and only 2 issues that are most important to address?
So, traffic, believe it or not, is the #1 issue that needs to be addressed here in town, because I've heard it from too many people. And the other issue that I think needs to be addressed that we haven't really talked about much tonight is the 600% increase in utility fees that everyone in town is going to be hit with if we don't act. So when I was the manager, I got a letter and I sent it out to the whole public. It's available online, that said that the city of Miami Beach is going to add a cost because they're under a consent order and they have to improve all of their systems. So everyone that feeds their sewage to Miami Beach, Surfside is included, and every city in 33154, is going to be hit with a 600% increase. I was able to get that set aside for 2 years so that we could decide on what to do. I recommended that we shift our sewage from Miami Beach to the county directly. And I initiated that with the counties when I was the manager. I got their blessing that we could shift all the sewage to the county for 163rd Street. I then got on the phone with all 33154 cities to say we need to build this together and share a pro rata share. And they were on board with that. And that's how it was left before I was no longer serving. So those are the two big ones.
Great. Mr. Donzer, top two.
All right, so there's a short-term and long-term as something I spoke about before. Now, professionally what I do is I build out apps and systems, and my job is to ensure scalability for what they're going to be, not what they're being asked to be. And so I tend to look at the long terms, which would be financial planning based on the new Tallahassee legislation and necessary infrastructure improvements that have gone on, without any sort of address for the last decade. But residents have spoken over this last week. I had the privilege of hosting almost 1,000 residents on a virtual town hall. And I did run a poll, and the two biggest issues that came back was traffic and overdevelopment. Traffic being 42% of the people that responded, and overdevelopment 23%. I think those two kind of tie in, because the issue with overdevelopment, if you can define it, I think that people are upset about the ramifications, which again leads to traffic. Now, when it comes to solving this traffic, this is going to be a solution that requires participation. And my opponent spoke about relationships, and again, this is where it comes into play. I am endorsed by all our neighboring municipalities in 33154, Sunny Isles, Bal Harbour, Bay Harbor, Indian Creek, and we have sat down already on this, they have all committed to participating in the solution, because the solution is not just going to lie within Surfside, but across our boundaries. They've already not only endorsed me, but committed to working on this project together to ensure that we can address traffic, which is the most critical issue that residents are facing today, because like you, we are trapped here. At a certain time, we can't leave, and that's not something that, when we talk about quality of life, that's something that has to be addressed immediately.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Paul.
Thank you. I do want to just go back a minute to the lawsuits about SB 180, and I just want to state that I'm the only candidate sitting here that does not have a lawsuit against myself. Both my... And I want to say that the lawsuits against my opponents are by residents. You have one being sued by a resident for wrongful arrest, and you have two lawsuits by former employees for the handling of their employment. But this is an important question, so I do want to answer it. But as far as the SB 180 lawsuits, the person who mentioned it knows fully well why the town took that route, because it was actually it was recommended. We tried to do a settlement with one of the cases, and it was recommended. But I really shouldn't be talking about litigation, because it's still something we're solving. The top two issues, I feel, are the state preemptions that are being done right now, because the state is preempting us on just about everything, and that's what really affects our quality of life if these things ever get built. And part of the issue with these lawsuits, the SB 180, is because the state is allowing, it's supposed to be for a property that's been hit by a disaster, by a hurricane, but yet it's not. It's just anybody that wants to rebuild a home, and that's an issue because it's not helping the people it should help. We're all for helping the people that we should help, but the state is not being, they're being too broad and too general. Traffic is a serious issue. Okay, well, those are the two issues.
Very good. This question begins with Mr. Denzer. Due to the CTS collapse, Florida enacted strict mandates for condo recertification. Do you support an ordinance for a permit fee waiver for the Surfside condominiums going through costly recertification? Is that question clear? I'm not familiar with the permit fee waiver ordinance. Is that something that's happening?
Yes, I'm smiling. Actually, that is something that my administration, and thanks to former Commissioner Maishai, who led that effort, being our representative from the condo board. That's something that we passed. We reduced condo association fees to 30% at the time, which is what our financial director recommended to be the most safest approach. At the end of the day, the building fund is an enterprise fund and is funded solely by permit fees. And I shouldn't say solely, there's some other factors, but it is funded by permit fees. So at the time, our financial director felt comfortable with the number. We brought it down to 30%. This current commission, ironically enough, brought it down to 0, which there are legality issues about that because that pushed the financial burden onto the homeowners. Now, they enacted this, and I think the town manager at the time completely discarded the 100% permit fees, and it took this commission a year to find out that they were not even in play. So it is something that we supported previously, and it was something we would support again because condo safety is a priority. Helping a lot of these older buildings that have been hit with the new legislative changes in Tallahassee with these unprecedented fees is something that the town needs to continue to support.
Okay, Ms. Paul?
Thank you. This is near and dear to my heart because this is something that I fully 100% supported and advocated for. I live in a condo, and so I understand what's going on, and it's also affects a lot of my neighbors, a lot of my friends who live in condos. Half the town is condos, so let's be clear about that. This is being worked on. It will be at our March 10th meeting that we finally will have this issue resolved. Yes, the prior commission had reduced the fees to 30%. Our commission ran on reducing it to 100%, and we hit a snag with the former town attorney / town manager / removed it without our knowledge. And here we are, but we've resolved it. It will be resolved at our March 10th meeting according to state law, so we will be in full compliance. Thank you.
Mr. Blumenstein?
Thank you. So this town is facing a lot of litigation, as was mentioned, and this invites further litigation. And a comment was made that several people on this dais are being sued, and one isn't. It's important for everyone to understand that I am the only candidate running with a law degree. I'm the only candidate running who was a judge. I am the best suited to resolve the litigation as opposed to others. Now, with respect to the permit fees, the methodology used by the commission to try and provide a fee waiver runs afoul of the law. And there is another way to make a policy decision to reimburse the condo unit owners and give back permit fees that are paid in the form of a refund. That could be a policy decision. But to do a waiver of permit fees, which means to charge some people to do permitted work and not charge other people to do the same work, runs afoul of the law. That is what this commission sought to do. I counseled them against it. I gave them an alternative to do the same kind of refund in a different way because it is an enterprise fund.
I'm going to add 30 seconds you can have available since you chose to respond to the...
Okay. So, simply said, if it is the will of the commission to provide a waiver of a fee, you can't do it in that form, but you can give a refund of the same amount paid. That is what I was trying to convey and make happen by this commission, but it never got far enough down the road because I felt that people weren't really understanding or listening to what not just me, but also the building official was advising. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Paul, this next question will be with you. When traffic measures are implemented and later removed for legal or compliance issues, or projects draw widespread criticism, who is accountable? What specific safeguards would you put in place to prevent legally flawed or poorly vetted infrastructure decisions please name one concrete change you would implement.
Okay, so who's responsible is the town manager. The commission makes policy, the town manager implements it. So if the commission makes policy to move forward with a project, it is up to the town manager to implement it properly. That did not happen with the speed hump project that we recently did, and I believe one of the humps was corrected because it was way out of compliance. Our commission, and through our new town manager, did a study to see whether these humps were compliant or not. They were not, and so we're working on correcting that. Also, the whole system of implementing them was done improperly because neighbors and residents had no idea these were being built in front of their homes. And that was a flaw on our administration. And our current administration is correcting that, and they are notifying residents to make sure that they want the speed hump on their block and that they know it's happening, and they agree to it. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Blumstein? Is there a name check involved here too, or?
No,
it's okay.
fine. So the answer to the question is that the commission needs to speak clearly when they give direction to a town manager. And that was problematic, to say the least, during my tenure. If you listen to the tape, you will hear the direction was, here's $100,000 to build out these speed tables, and here's another $100,000 to build out the circles. Period. End of story. And then I was to take it for action. So that is exactly what happened. I turned it over to our Public Works Department. They had the funding budget. They vetted out the prospective people that would build it. They had the specs from the county. And neighbors were in fact noticed. Letters went out to those people that lived in those homes. I think there was a hiccup with the first street perhaps, but I know afterwards that was corrected. And yes, I think the administration needs to take full responsibility, but to just push it on the manager is shirking responsibility as an elected leader. And I will not do that as an elected leader. I will speak very clearly because I know how the administration works. I know the people that work here. Many of them I've been in their positions. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Donziger?
All right, I'm going to try to give the residents a little brief history on this traffic issue because it was something that I was left holding. I'll try to do it fast. In 2020, Mr. Burkett's commission decided to put a bunch of stop signs on 88th Street. Residents complained, the county came in and said these were unauthorized, being county roads, and asked the town to remove them. They were removed and then reinstalled. Those same residents complained, and Mr. Morales, who was running the town, the county sent the town a letter stating that all traffic engineering, including the closures of 95th and 94th Street, Carlisle, Bay Drive, and a lot of other traffic engineering implementation had to be removed. I came in shortly after, sat down with the county and asked them to maintain what we have currently. I would put together a traffic study, which we hadn't done in 10 years, which would allow us to put forward traffic engineering requests. That took about 10 months to do the study. We started the design process, brought it forward to the residents, but I wasn't able to carry it over. Fast forward to this administration, they did put in a request, and in June of 2024, I'm going to say, it was approved under specifics. And all this documentation is available online. The county approves specifics to the speed bumps that comes with the engineering required to put these in. Whoever wants to take the blame up here on either side of me, they can throw it at each other, but the fact is the ones that went in that our town residents paid $18,000 a piece for did not comply with the county and are now being taken out. The gate that was put in on 88th Street went in without permission. The county made us take it out. All our money is going to waste because we have people here that feel that they are above the law and continue to violate county requirements.
Anybody feel name checked on that? I don't know. But the next group.
As with that circle, but I'm not part of the administration. I can tell you that there was discussion about this on, I believe, the Nextdoor platform because of what's happening at that intersection. For those that don't live at the north end of town in the residential area, what's happening is that traffic is backing up from 96th Street on Byron all the way past the circle down to 93rd Street. Traffic on Abbott coming into town from 96th Street can't get through that circle because it's all congested. It's like a parking lot. I have videos and pictures on multiple days seeing the same thing. There needs to be something done to deal with the problem of cut-through traffic. One of the ways that I intend to do that is to try to keep folks on Collins Avenue, on A1A, and not have them come into the neighborhood, because I see where it comes from. It comes off A1A into the residential area at 89th Street primarily, and then they just go north because they're trying to get through either to Bell Harbor, Bay Harbor, or over the causeway. So I don't know of a specific plan, but something needs to be done, and we need to deal with the parking lot because folks can't get in and out of their residence. Thank you.
Mr. Donziger, 95th and Byron.
95th and Byron is a result, obviously, of what is coming in from all directions. We see cars coming in on 88th Street, we see cars coming in all throughout town. We're seeing backups on Carlisle, Dickens, and it's a town-wide issue. It's similar, a road is like an artery, so if your hand hurts, it could be coming from your shoulder or somewhere else in the body. What I can tell you is I'm not a traffic engineer, and it's not my responsibility, nor is it within my abilities to study the issue and bring the solution forward. What I am committed to is bringing in those people that will study the issue, that will bring a solution forward, and as I stated before, I have the commitment of the other cities because the solution may lie outside our boundaries, which may include the lights on 96, it may include opening or closing roads in other parts of towns that aren't within our purview. So I have that commitment, and that will be addressed.
Very good. Ms. Paul?
So at the moment, there are no plans for the traffic circle at 95th and Byron. I will tell you that I was on the commission when that was put in. I was also on the commission when the one on Abbott and 88th was put in. When I served with Mayor Daniel Deitch, we did a traffic committee where we comprised of residents from the different troubled spots, and they all got together and gave a recommendation to the commission, and then we worked to put forward the recommendations of the residents. So that way it was resident driven and it served the residents. At some point, you know, the traffic is fluid. So at some points you get it in some areas, in other areas. Byron at 95th has been consistently a problem. And you know, I support anything we can do to work on that. I would like to reinstate a committee of residents so that we can get solutions from them and then see how we can implement them, because I think that's the best way. They're the ones who are living with this. Thank you.
Very good. This next question, Mr. Donziger. One of the residents writing in about the form of government. I'm not sure if you have a charter review commission underway or what's happening there. Maybe they would, well, maybe they want another one. It says, do you support a strong mayor model or a strong manager model? Please choose one. Under your preferred model, what powers should be clearly limited to prevent overreach?
So our charter is very clear. We're a strong town manager form of government. The commission's mandate is limited to budgetary, to legislative matters. The daily operations fall within the town manager. The town manager does work at the behest and at the leisure of the commission. Meaning, you know, while we may not implement and involve ourselves with the day-to-day, if we're getting bad feedback from the town, we have to hold someone accountable, and ultimately we would hold the town manager accountable. That's worked for us for the last, since our inception in 1935. I think it creates a strong division in powers. We all know we kind of format the rest of the country, which is we have three branches: legislative, administrative, and judicial. We have that here in town as well, and that's the way it needs to be respected to ensure balance.
Okay, Ms. Paul, do you want to address that?
Yes, thank you. I believe in the government we have in place, which is a strong manager commission government. And by commission, I mean commission, not a strong mayor. I will be a strong mayor in the sense of leadership, but not in terms of overriding anything my colleagues want to do or manager. It's important to have the separation of government. And with it, you know, sometimes you have an issue with too strong of a manager, which we had, where we had a manager that bypassed the commission and didn't want to follow direction. And that can become problematic too. I think it's important that people in those positions are professional and understand their position and stay in their lane. And that goes for the commission, it goes for the mayor, it goes for the manager. But manager, commission form of government works for this town. Thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Bloomstein?
So I wholeheartedly believe in the separation of powers and the strong manager form of government. I occupy the position. I understand the difference. Others that are elected officials don't. And we've seen it now in 2 cycles. We've seen it with the current cycle, and we've seen it with the prior cycle. Section 35 of our town charter sets forth all those powers and responsibilities of the town manager. They are very clear, they are very specific, and that is the office that runs this town. The folks on the dais, if I'm blessed to serve on it again, they're the ones that set the direction, set the policy, give the specific instruction to the town manager to carry out the town's operation. Unfortunately, over the last 2 cycles, we've seen that deteriorate. We saw it first when Mr. Danziger was the mayor, when in December of 2022, the town manager was relieved of his duties. Thereafter, the CFO left, and thereafter, the police chief left, all within 24 hours. And we know these are good people. We know these are smart people. And then the exodus continued under this administration, which is why I was brought in to help clean it up. So I understand this form of government, and I will maintain it. Thank you.
Very good.
I believe my name was mentioned, so I'd like to respond to that.
I missed it, but go ahead, Mr. Danziger.
So first of all, Mr. Bloomstein states that he understands the separation, and if he understands his proclivities and his duties as manager, why was he ultimately fired by the town commission if he followed those? And I think that's an important question that residents need to ask him when he's going door to door. He also stated that I violated the charter, and I would like to ask how, right? It's very nice to stand here and make accusations. It is within my purview to fire a town manager when the commission sees so. Our town manager left. And again, I would ask how I violated this instead of standing up here and making blatant allegations. Thank you.
Mr. Bloomstein, you were definitely named checked.
Thank you. Well, I never said that he violated the charter. I just said that what happened here was chaos during his administration.
Pretty sure we can rewind the tape.
I'm talking now. I'm talking now. Everyone wants to know what happened with me on the dais. October 22, 2025 spells it all out. You saw the craziness on the dais with what to do with a strong manager. Everyone wants a strong manager until they have one, and then they don't want a strong manager. I was trying to bring about professionalism to this organization, and that's what I aim to do as mayor. Thank you.
Hopefully you don't do as good of a job.
Did you give him the floor? Because he just keeps chiming in and breaking rules.
No, I did not. Okay. All right. Ms. Paul, this next question begins with you. Okay. Transparency is a cornerstone of public service. Transparency means residents know what their elected officials are doing and who they're meeting with before decisions are made, not after. Can you give a concrete example of how you practice that? Can you give a specific example from your record that demonstrates your commitment to it?
I have always been transparent about any meetings. I do agree to meet with residents, with business owners. I like to be a problem solver, and mostly if somebody comes to me with a problem, I want to meet with them. I want to see what I can do to help them. I do bring things back to my commission or to my town manager. I don't act upon anything on my own. I just see what I can do. I have a full commitment to transparency, and yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what else to say.
That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Bloomstein?
Yes, transparency was a cornerstone of my administration. There was never a more transparent form of government than when I served as the town manager. I instituted for the first time here town manager reports that told metrics to the residents. It told everyone what every department was doing, how they were doing it. That's never been done before. I created this whole video series of Mondays with the manager to be transparent with the electorate, to be transparent with the residents, to show them where their tax money was going. That's an example of transparency. I was transparent with everyone that lived here through what are called the letters to commission, something never been done before in this town. I sent out hundreds of letters to commission that were immediately put on the town website for the public to view, where they can find out all kinds of information about what their elected officials are seeing, hearing, and doing. That's another example of transparency. And I intend to be the most transparent mayor if elected by the people, along with most transparent town commission. You will know when we're going to take action. You will not have to learn about action taken after the fact, as has been the case here in the past. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Danziger.
Transparency. When I was in office, one of the things I created was the virtual town hall Zooms. I would bring, depending on the subject, I would bring different people within town to have conversations with residents. And I think residents forget there was an email series that I would send out, and it was called A Day in the Life of the Mayor. It's not as catchy as Mondays with the Manager, and it's a little more wordy, but what that did is it literally went through my day. And it was hour by hour, meeting by meeting, who I met with, what was discussed, which organization, and that was meant to bring complete transparency into the office. It was very difficult to maintain, being that we are not given staff, and ultimately it didn't get a lot of response. But the door was always open, my schedule was public, people used to pull my calendars, my text messages. When you're in office, nothing is a secret, everything is put into public records. And so it's always an open book. And that email called A Day in the Life of the Mayor really gave insight into what happened here on an hourly basis.
Very good, thank you. Now, this next question, we begin back with Mr. Bloomstein. How would you ensure residents who criticize the commission at public meetings are protected from retaliation?
That's a great question. So unfortunately, we have seen examples of how not to handle the public. I can assure every member of the public that wants to speak at a public meeting is going to be given an opportunity to speak without interruption, and they will not have to be escorted out of this chamber by police just because they say something that doesn't agree with what I may believe. This type of activity is not helpful. We are public servants. That means we have to listen to criticism. I've had my share of it over the course of this campaign, and it's what I signed up for. If we don't let residents speak their minds, it's not healthy for the community, and it will only aggravate members of the community. So we need to listen. We don't necessarily have to agree, but we need to listen. And once we listen and hear all the different sides of an issue, a great example was with the undergrounding. We heard a lot of criticism over the undergrounding, and that was important public discourse, and it led us to the conclusion that we're at, because people in the community cared to come here, speak to the elected officials, and brought about some change. So thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Danziger.
So first of all, it's ironic to hear this because the mayor currently, Mr. Burkett, ran on this platform that he's going to allow everybody to speak at free will, and within his first meeting, he threw out some people. So at the end of the day, we are a town that is governed by rules of law, and this room needs to reflect that as well. Now, with that being said, I came in at a time where the commission prior to me did not understand the meaning of decorum. We had elected officials who were sitting up there flipping each other off. It was extremely volatile. We had residents yelling at commissioners, commissioners yelling at residents, and I came in with the intent to stop that. So I studied the laws, Robert's Rules of Orders, our charter, and I started enforcing the rules that were written. I didn't write any of these rules, but I enforced it. What I've learned over the last couple of years is that a small infraction may not be as bad as a larger one. I will definitely be doing a better job at listening and allowing for smaller infractions to go through. But at the same time, this is still a building, it's a government building, it's where meetings occur, it's where laws are passed, and it needs to be respected by residents too. And when you come in here and disrespect everybody, it doesn't give a good impression for the rest of the town. But at the same time, again, people need to be able to feel heard. And I think that there's a fine line and a gray line somewhere between a minor infraction and something a little more serious, which I had to go through here, including threats within this own room.
Very good. Ms. Paul.
Thank you. I want to go back to transparency for a minute, because you heard from a former mayor who traveled all the way around the world to Dubai and never disclosed what went on over there. And that is really important for residents to know. A deal was made on a development that involved, millions and millions of dollars going to that developer, and things changed with the plan after that trip. So I think that's not transparency. We were told it was, it wasn't. But as far as residents, listen, I welcome residents. No resident will be disrespected in my chambers. We saw also the former mayor threw out 5 residents ejected by police officers, 3 of them for each resident that was ejected throughout the 2-year term. And these residents, all they did was speak in their allotted time and try to say what they felt about how things were running in their town. And that is their absolute right. I will never violate that right. I respect our residents, and I respect these chambers, and it is our duty to listen and let people speak. I just want to also say that Mayor Burkett did not throw out anybody during our term.
Very good. Can I respond because I was mentioned?
Absolutely, Mr. Donziger, you have 30 seconds.
Right. First of all, any resident can turn on the first meeting and watch people get thrown out. I do want to address the Dubai. First of all, the first item that you said that it wasn't disclosed. I did sit with the families. I did disclose this trip ahead of time. There was no deal made. There was a discussion that ensued to try to get land for the memorial. But again, as a mayor, I don't have the authority to approve anything. It requires a vote by the commission. A deal was discussed and then brought back to the commission for discussion publicly. Against this item was also investigated thoroughly by the ethics, by the state ethics board, by public corruption, and here we are today because nothing bad happened. Thank you.
Very good. Now, Mr. Donziger, you have the next question.
Where are the receipts?
The last question. How did we get here so fast? Anyway, somebody brought this up earlier, and we have one of the residents asking, did you support or not support spending the $80 million on the underground power line project? And this question begins with you, Mr. Donziger.
So I think we all support the undergrounding initiative. That's been very clear by the residents the first time it came up. What was very clear by the residents is that we didn't want to go in debt for the next 30 years for a project that seemed half-baked. And that's another item that this commission could not pull through. They talk about enterprise projects. This was a major flop that we spent millions of dollars on. We all support the project. It was the lack of implementation. They did not have a plan. They didn't have the total cost. They didn't know where the money was going to come from. They didn't know what it was going to cost the residents. I support the initiative to underground, and it comes back to state grants, it comes back to federal grants, it comes back to FPL's responsibility, which they do have, to harden their infrastructure. It's a discussion that has to be had. During my administration, I started asking questions to some of these people. It turns out we didn't calculate the cost of replacement of hedges, driveways. We had no idea what the cost was when I came in. If you look at the last proposal, you'll see that the cost of fixing the streets after digging in is still not calculated in the cost. So all of this, again, I think residents spoke very clearly that it was the leadership at the time that obviously showed no ability to carry a project like this forward. And it is something that we're going to revisit, not to put back on the residents, but to pursue other methods to implement this important project.
Very good. Ms. Paul on this issue.
So as far as the vote for the $80 million, no, I had to vote no. In fact, I supported putting that question on the ballot so the residents could decide because the cost came in way higher than what was initially disclosed. Undergrounding utilities was discussed on 3 of the commissions I served on. On one of them, we didn't move forward with it. On the other one, we started the process. Then we were not in office, and that the person we had hired to coordinate the undergrounding was fired. So a new team was brought in, and the project stalled for 2 years. So when it came back to us when we were back in office, the cost really just skyrocketed in those 2 years of inaction. And so one thing for sure is that our residents do want undergrounding utilities. The issue is the cost. And I really do feel that's another issue for Tallahassee where we have to lobby to get FPL to work on this. Thank you.
Very good. And then Mr. Bloomstein.
Well, I'm probably the one up here that's worked most intimately with this project. And I can tell you that the problems really emanated back to 2020 when this thing started. Unfortunately, I was, like everyone here, just a resident and wasn't really apprised of the details. But what was put out to the public, of which I was a member, was that this was a cost of $38 million to do the whole town. And that's what got the residents to approve a $40 million bond. Unfortunately, I didn't know then, I do know now, that those numbers were like paper napkin numbers. They were pie in the sky. And the gentleman that was working on that project, I think his name was Paul Abbott, never really developed the detail of the plan like I saw from Kimberly Horn when I was the manager. And when we dug into that project, and folks like Mr. Zomper was out here tonight, asking questions about the cost for the whole town, I made sure to get that number from Kimberly Horn. And that number ended up being, this $80 million figure that went to the voters. If we had known that then, we wouldn't have wasted the $2+ million that we've already spent on the project. Thank you.
Okay, now we're up to they said I had no more questions, but there's one more question. This one starts with Ms. Paul. Someone submitted this question, and I think it's a lightning round question. So it says, this job pays $1 a year. Why do you want it?
I think the question is more, why do you want me? I do this for you. So, when my first term, this is my 4th term that I've served. In my first term, I was disappointed with the $1 a year. I thought we got health insurance. We didn't get health insurance. But I found that, you're doing something much more honorable. That, when I've got my second, we get $1 given to us each year in a frame. And when I got my first $1 as vice mayor, so it was my $3rd $1, it meant everything to me. It really did. And so I do this for you. It's all I do get really is the $1, and because I'm not a politician. I'm not seeking higher office. I'm an artist. I'm a photographer. But I feel I bring a lot to the table, and I find I've done a good job for my town, and it's an honor to serve my town. So I'll do it again if you have me.
Very good. Mr. Bloomstein.
Thank you. I'm often asked that question. I'm campaigning around town. Why do you want to do this for $1? When you're making so much more as a manager. Honestly, I want to do this to finish what I set out to do in this town. We walked into this office, and it wasn't about residents first. I just felt it wasn't about residents first. And I did my best in my capacity to try to straighten out Town Hall, to clean up Town Hall. And that's not easy. It's not easy because you're changing cultures. And listen, I'm a military guy. I believe in rules. I believe in leadership. And it's something that I try to impart to the rank and file here in town. And it's not easy to change cultures. But I did a lot of great work, I felt, with a great team of people here in Town Hall. A lot of the people that are now in place, like I said before, were people that I brought here, people that didn't want to come here before, that now are willing to come and join the town and help it move forward. I want to finish that out. I want to show that I can lead from the dais, put in policies that will help Surfsiders move forward, progress forward, and unify this community once and for all. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Benjamin, just a short question.
So I just want to say, I think the term rank and file is derogatory. I think the people that work in this town are the lifebloods and the cogs that keep this town moving and functioning. And I think that term is quite a, it shows a lot of visibility into what went on here over the last little while. But why I would run for $1? Well, again, if my opening statement, I talked about, I think community service is what has driven me over decades, and this is an opportunity to serve a community at a level that very few have. We were able to make some major changes over the last couple of years, things that will, that have affected this community and will continue to affect the community for years to come. This is not necessarily, a 2-year stint. What you're doing in office affects this town for generations, and it was the ability to make changes. I sat on the Parks and Rec Committee for years, almost 10 years, talking about a new park. We got that done. The people complained all that time about the sod in the top lot, how the bugs were scratching and biting their kids. Nothing moved in this town. We came in, we got that done. There's just lights on the beach. We were, walking here during COVID. You get to Bell Harbor, it's a beautiful lit beach, and our beach was horrible. There was a 3-legged raccoon running around and foliage that was growing into the path, and still is somehow. But it was the ability to really make and affect change within our town for the better, and it comes back to quality of life, and again, responsibility, fiscal responsibility.
Very good. Now we have closing statements from the candidates, and we begin with Ms. Paul. Come back across.
Thank you again for the honor of serving as your vice mayor and for allowing me to show why I am best suited to be your mayor. Surfside is my home. Growing up, we were one of the few religious Jewish families in the neighborhood at a time when there were no kosher restaurants and our synagogue and schools were located in Miami Beach. We loved the safe small town feeling, riding our bicycles on the streets, enjoying the community center, and walking to the beach. That sense of belonging shaped who I am, and it is why I am here for everyone, residents young and old, business owners, visitors, and the dedicated staff who work every day to keep our town running. 2 years ago, Surfside faced division. Development was fast-tracked, where community projects were stalled. We lost key respected employees who had served our town honorably. We inherited chaos. Since returning to office, we have restored stability, professionalism, and focus. We completed 96th Street Park, advanced the Abbott Drainage Project, and we finalized the design of the Surfside Memorial to honor those we lost and the bravery of those who stood beside us. We achieved this through steady, experienced leadership, quietly, consistently, and with determination. That is the leadership our town needs now. This election is about trust and direction. It is about continuing leadership that understands how government works, values collaboration, and respects everyone to guarantee stability when it matters most. I have built the relationships, I have learned the process, and I have worked for our community every single day. I am here to continue that work. I am not running for personal ambition. I'm running to keep Surfside safe, thriving, and united. To celebrate what makes our community special, embrace our differences. Surfside is in good hands, and experienced leadership is essential now to guide the new commission with a smooth transition and keep our town moving forward. We need leadership that is firm, kind, and honest. And right now, more than ever, we must separate fact from fiction. Too often, the most qualified candidate becomes targeted with false claims, while dark money tries to influence our local election behind the scenes. Let me be clear, Surfside belongs to all of us, longtime residents, new families, and neighborhood businesses. It does not belong to anonymous, developer-driven pack hiding behind the name Surfside First. Our town's future should never be shaped by outside interests disguising themselves as community. May I please finish?
I'd rather we keep the time. We can move on.
This is our town, this is our choice, and together that is our victory. Thank you.
Mr. Donziger, for closing.
During a recent town hall Q&A I hosted, a resident asked me a very good question. He asked me, why do I think I lost my election and what will I do differently this time around? That was a very good question, and I'd like to take the opportunity tonight to answer that publicly and honestly. When I came into office, I was hyper-focused on achieving objectives. I wanted to move quickly and deliver results. But leadership is not only about what you accomplish, it's about how you bring people along. Surfside was evolving and change was happening, where residents needed to feel more included in that process. The role required more patience, more diplomacy, and a steadier temperament than I demonstrated at times. To be completely honest, after all that hard work and time I put in, losing the election 2 years ago was very difficult. But it was also one of the most important experiences of my life. It forced me to reflect and gave me perspective. Serving as mayor taught me a great deal, but the last 2 years has taught me even more. In public office, most decisions have a binary result. One way or the other, someone will disagree, and it's impossible to make everyone happy. But it's absolutely possible to ensure that even when people disagree with the outcome, they still feel heard, respected, and included. And that's my commitment to the residents of Surfside. Over the past 2 years, I have dedicated time and effort to reach out to residents who may or may not have supported me in the past. Not to argue, not to convince, but to listen. To understand their concerns and to engage in the kind of civil dialogue that our town has been missing. Those conversations have changed me. They have strengthened me and they've prepared me. If given the opportunity to serve again, I will lead with the same drive to deliver results, but with greater patience, greater humility, and a deeper commitment to unity. Surfside deserves leadership that gets things done and brings people together. I'm recommitted to being that leader that ensures that everyone feels heard, respected, and represented. I stand before you tonight asking for your vote because I believe Surfside deserves steady leadership, thoughtful governments, and a clear path forward. Our town has always been strongest when it moves with purpose and confidence. Over the past 2 years, that sense of direction has been lost. Projects that were once advancing with promise were brought to a halt, and there have been greater challenges on the horizon. The submission of the Live Local project, advanced without transparency by the current commission, carries the potential to reshape Surfside in ways that may be irreversible. These are defining moments for our town. They demand leadership that is steady, informed, and resolute. My opponents have had their opportunity to demonstrate that leadership, and they've fallen short. I'm asking for you to trust that together we can restore responsible governance, protect the character of community, and guide Surfside towards a future that is prosperous, balanced, and worthy of the people that call it home.
And Mr. Bloomstein for a closing remark.
Fellow Surfsiders, this election is an opportunity for us to reunite this community and move it forward. I am the only candidate for mayor who has worked with our town administration. I know its strengths and weaknesses, and I possess the best skill set to handle the pending challenges facing our town. As manager, my administration demonstrated our value. We acquired town property and yielded long-term revenue from developers. We generated record fees from developers for their construction activity. We rid the town of ineffective or insubordinate employees, replacing them with professional staff now serving it. We also negotiated a new labor agreement with our general employees just last year by treating them fairly and rewarding them with well-deserved wage increases for their town service. We can and will do more if you elect me as your mayor. I know how to build town facilities and resolve litigation. I did so in 2006 when I was elected to the town commission, and I'm ready to do so again as your mayor. I first got involved in town politics back in 2006 because I felt the town was not doing right by its residents. I am running now, like I did then, to make Surfside better for our entire community. You can also rest assured to know that any member of the public who wishes to address the commission that I serve on will be respected and not interrupted from the dais. Further, nobody should fear being arrested by the town police for having a viewpoint that differs from mine. Fellow elected officials will not be disparaged or silenced as your mayor. We will agree and disagree at times, but I will always respect the decision of my colleagues as I expect them to respect mine, however we may vote on an issue or item from the dais. With me, my word is my bond. You will not find a political action committee or PAC associated with my campaign for mayor. During the town's 2024 election, One Surfside was the PAC in town. This time, it's Surfside First, registered in Tallahassee. This PAC registered outside of Surfside so as not to disclose its contributors until April 10th, which is after the Surfside election. Rest assured that Surfside First means Surfside residents are last to learn who is trying to influence our vote. If I am elected as your mayor, you will not have to worry about lost or destroyed property that has plagued other elected officials. Surfsiders should elect someone who will safeguard town property, including the town's financial reserves exceeding $80 million. Finally, as mayor, I will not weaponize our town police against the very taxpayers funding it. We must remember the arrest of young Joshua, who is now suing the town and Mr. Danziger personally. This was the result of incompetence by placing an inexperienced manager-in-chief in positions of authority, which created chaos. We have 3 members of the Jewish community running for mayor this year, and I am confident that each of us will indeed protect the Jewish community and decry anti-Semitism. Thank you, and vote Mark Bloomstein, number 30.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for being here. I want to thank all the residents and citizens of Surfside for submitting the questions. These were all your questions. I was not able to get through all of them, but I did get through a vast majority of them. I want to thank our timekeepers tonight for keeping us on order here tonight. They did an excellent job of keeping this an orderly process. And Sandra, thank you for reaching out to the League of Women Voters. Morgan Anderson, thank you so much for coordinating this event with Sandra. And I look forward to seeing the results of your election on March 17th.